In a delicious twist of fate, comedian Andrew Santino may find his previous lament about missing out on the wedding of the century hilariously obsolete, as the podcaster and actor was recently spotted seamlessly integrating into Taylor Swift's inner circle. The same man who joked on his Whiskey Ginger podcast about not receiving a golden ticket to the Swift-Kelsey nuptials was photographed sharing laughs and conversation with the music icon herself, sparking a wave of speculation that a formal invitation might now be swiftly on its way. This candid moment of him rubbing shoulders with pop culture's most powerful figure not only serves as a prime example of life's unpredictability but also suggests that Santino's relatable FOMO has been strategically, and perhaps permanently, erased by a single, well-timed interaction at the epicenter of the celebrity universe. Just last month, the comedian and close friend of Travis Kelce painted a picture of relatable uncertainty, openly musing that he might not make the cut for the highly anticipated union of his NFL pal and the global pop sensation. With a tone of humorous resignation, he hinted at the formidable gatekeeping power of the bride's camp, jestingly noting that Taylor Swift would undoubtedly be controlling that guest list with the same precision and discretion she employs in managing her record-breaking empire. This public admission of wedding party FOMO framed him as an endearing outsider looking in, a narrative that made his recent, chummy sighting with Swift herself all the more ironic and suggestive of a dramatically shifted social calculus. Yet, in a striking reversal of fortune that underscores the fickle and fast-moving tides of celebrity alliances, fast forward a mere 4 weeks and the Bad Friends podcast host was no longer a wistful spectator but a central figure in the inner sanctum. There he was, ensconced in the exclusive VIP suite at a Kansas City Chiefs home game, occupying a seat of undeniable honor directly next to the singer herself. The image of Santino, deep in conversation with Swift as the roar of the crowd echoed around them, served as a powerful visual retraction to his prior doubts. His placement in such pride of place, sharing laughs and seemingly at ease amidst the innermost circle, completely rewrote the previous month's narrative, transforming his speculative anxiety into a confirmed front-row ticket to the most-watched friendship, and potentially, the most coveted wedding, of the year. Fresh off the monumental release of her 12th studio album, The Life of a Showgirl, the songstress seamlessly transitioned from her global pop persona to her personal role as a dedicated partner, making her highly anticipated return to Arrowhead Stadium on Sunday. There, amidst the roaring sea of red and yellow, she settled into the familiar confines of the VIP suite not just as a music icon celebrating a new creative chapter, but as a fiancée there to watch her husband-to-be, Travis Kelce, and the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Detroit Lions. The spectacle was a perfect real-life parallel to her album's themes. The ultimate showgirl was now in the audience, her every reaction and cheer under the world's microscope, yet the moment was intimately personal, a supportive partner watching the man she loves command his own stage on the gridiron. Adding another layer of intrigue to her appearances this year, Swift was notably not spotted entering the stadium on Sunday night, a deliberate move that follows a distinct trend of her sneaky entrances throughout the 2025 season. This calculated vanishing act has become her new signature, a masterful display of evasion where she seemingly materializes in her suite without a trace of her arrival, having bypassed the gauntlet of cameras and fans entirely. It's a strategic game of cat and mouse with the press, allowing the focus to remain squarely on the game and her support for Kelce, while simultaneously building an aura of mystery that only amplifies the world's fascination. She has perfected the art of controlling the narrative by selectively disappearing, ensuring that when she is seen, the moment is entirely on her own terms. However, the meticulously planned stealth of her arrival was deliberately punctured by the spectacle itself, when during the first quarter, the network broadcast coverage inevitably found its way to her luxury VIP suite. The camera close-up revealed the songstress in her natural habitat within the roaring stadium, no longer a spectral figure but a vibrant, social presence, deeply engaged in an animated conversation with WNBA sensation Caitlin Clark, a powerful moment linking two titans of their respective sports. In a gesture that spoke volumes of her comfort and integration into the Kelce family fold, she was also captured sharing a warm, genuine embrace with her future father-in-law, Ed. This curated glimpse served as a masterful balance to her secretive entrance, offering the public just enough of a heartfelt, personal tableau to satisfy immense curiosity, while still maintaining an iron grip on the overall narrative of her game day experience. Yet, the hoops sensation wasn't the only A-list guest the hitmaker was spotted deep in conversation with, as she was also captured seamlessly soaking up the high-stakes action alongside Andrew Santino. This visual confirmation served as the ultimate capstone to their rapidly evolving narrative, where just weeks prior Santino had voiced public doubt about his standing. He now appeared not as a mere attendee, but as an integrated confidant, comfortably embedded in the inner circle. The camera's brief but telling glimpse showed them engaged in easy dialogue, a world away from his former jokes about being excluded from the guest list. Positioned beside both a sports phenom and the bride-to-be herself, Santino's presence in that suite was no longer a question of an invitation, but a definitive statement of his place within this rarefied orbit, all while the game unfolded as a dramatic backdrop to the real story the world was watching. The narrative of Andrew Santino's potential exclusion from Taylor Swift's inner circle has been thoroughly rewritten, culminating in a scene of effortless camaraderie high above the Airfield Stadium turf. Just weeks after the comedian voiced playful uncertainty about receiving an invite to the Swift-Kelsey nuptials, citing the pop sensation's control over the guest list, he was photographed in the ultimate seat of honor, deep in conversation with Swift herself during the Chiefs' 30-17 victory over the Detroit Lions. This followed her now signature sneaky entrance, with the broadcast only revealing her presence in the luxury suite once the game was underway, where she was also seen chatting with Caitlin Clark and sharing a hug with her future father-in-law, Ed. But the most telling image was of the Bad Friends host and the hitmaker, the pair happily chatting away with Swift smiling broadly as they observed the win from their privileged perch. The visual served as a definitive and heartwarming conclusion to his brief public saga of doubt, transforming him from a wistful outsider into a confirmed, smiling insider within the most watched social sphere in modern pop culture. However, the friendly interaction immediately raised eyebrows and sparked fervent discussion among Swifties online, with the timing coming under particular scrutiny, as it arrived just 1 month after they perceived the comedian to have made a sly dig at the pop star. The entire narrative of Santino's potential invitation had been predicated on his public musings about being excluded, which many in her dedicated fanbase had interpreted not as a joke, but as a subtle criticism of Swift's influence. Seeing him now smiling and positioned comfortably within her inner circle created a wave of cognitive dissonance, leaving fans to debate whether this was a case of genuine reconciliation, a strategic display of peacemaking from Swift's camp, or proof that Santino's original comments had been wildly overanalyzed. The cozy scene in the suite, therefore, was more than just a celebrity sighting. It became a Rorschach test for the public's understanding of Swift's loyalty and the consequences of speaking her name, even in jest. The foundation for this entire episode was always the genuine, years-long friendship between Santino and Kelsey, a bond documented by the NFL star's appearance on the comedian's Whiskey Ginger podcast back in 2019, a favor Santino repaid last year when he joined Kelsey and his brother Jason on their massively popular New Heights podcast. This history of mutual support underscores that Santino's subsequent comments about the wedding were never from a place of malice or distant acquaintance, but from the comfortable, irreverent dynamic of a proven friendship. His jokes about guest lists and bachelor parties were made from inside the circle, not outside, which is why the perceived dig could be so easily laughed off and the reconciliation, culminating in his prime seating next to Swift, could feel so natural and unsurprising to those who understood their long-standing rapport. The entire saga stems from a stark admission Santino made in mid-September on the Pardon My Take podcast when directly questioned about his chances of attending the monumental event. "I doubt it," Santino confessed, leveraging his long-standing friendship with Travis Kelce to voice what many would feel, a sense of being on the outside looking in at the pop culture event of the decade. This moment of public self-deprecation, framing Taylor Swift as the ultimate gatekeeper of a fiercely exclusive guest list, is what made the subsequent images from Arrowhead Stadium so compelling. The narrative whiplash from that doubtful confession to being captured deep in conversation and sharing smiles with the pop icon herself during the Chiefs' victory created a perfect storm of speculation, proving that in the world of celebrity, social fortunes can change as rapidly as the flight of a football. The entire whirlwind of speculation was crystallized by Santino's own candid words on the Pardon My Take podcast, where he painted a picture of affectionate resignation. "I don't think I got that invite. You know she's controlling that guest list. I'm not on that list. Trav is my boy. I love him to death. But I highly doubt." This heartfelt confession, rooted in his genuine years-long friendship with Kelsey, framed him as the lovable outsider, a narrative that made his appearance just weeks later in the inner sanctum all the more dramatic. The image of him not just attending the same game, but happily chatting away with the very architect of that coveted guest list, completely inverted his public predicament. In the span of one Sunday night, the man who highly doubted he was on the list was seen sharing laughs with its curator, transforming his story from one of humorous exclusion to a likely, and brilliantly orchestrated, social redemption arc. Adding further color to his earlier doubts, Santino elaborated with a tone of classic bachelor party bravado, stating, "Look, I will say this. I played with my old man 2 days ago and we FaceTimed him, Travis, to say congrats. Maybe I'll catch a bachelor party invite. You could do bachelor and not wedding. In fact, I'd prefer it. I'd rather do bachelor and no wedding. I don't want to do weddings in general anymore. So if you can give me the bachelor party without the wedding." This crucial addendum reframed his entire perspective. It was never solely about exclusion from Swift's list, but a universal aversion to the formalities of weddings themselves. His plea was for the unscripted camaraderie of the bachelor party, the domain of his boy Travis, over the orchestrated spectacle of the ceremony. This distinction makes his subsequent chummy appearance with Swift not a contradiction, but a fascinating reconciliation. Perhaps he was securing his place not just on a list, but ensuring his preferred role in the celebrations, all while maintaining his cherished principle of skipping the main event. This specific comment, particularly his stated preference for the raucous bachelor party over the actual wedding, swiftly drew the ire of Swift's ever-loyal fanbase on social media, with one particularly incensed user branding him **** for what was perceived as a dismissive slight against the significance of the couple's big day. While Santino's intent was likely rooted in a universal brand of male humor and a personal aversion to formal events, the Swifties interpreted it as a disrespectful undervaluing of the ceremony that their idol holds dear. This viral backlash created a tangible digital stain on his name, making his subsequent, friendly appearance alongside Swift in the VIP suite not just a surprising turn of events, but a seemingly direct contradiction to the very narrative that had cast him, in the eyes of the most passionate observers, as an unsupportive outsider. The entire saga, which began with Andrew Santino's self-deprecating doubt on a podcast about making the cut for the wedding of the century, was sharply intensified when his jocular preference for a bachelor party over the actual ceremony drew the ire of Swift's fiercely loyal online fandom, with one user typifying the backlash by branding him an ****. This sentiment was echoed by others who fiercely defended the couple's privacy, with one fan fuming, "That wedding, if we are to use our logical thinking, will just be the closest of the close friends and family. Acquaintances, I doubt it. That wedding will be limited to people who really matter. And people should get that." This digital outrage framed Santino's comments not as harmless comedy but as a profound misjudgment, making his appearance weeks later, smiling and chatting amiably with Swift herself in the VIP suite, one of the most striking public reversals of fortune. The image served as a silent, powerful retort to the online fury, demonstrating that the real-world dynamics of friendship, between him and Kelsey, and now, seemingly, with Swift, ultimately trumped the logical assumptions and protective fervor of the fanbase, solidifying his place not as an excluded acquaintance, but as someone who, against all odds, clearly mattered. The seemingly offhand remarks made by Andrew Santino in mid-September ignited a firestorm within the Swiftie community, creating a divide in how his comments were perceived. While some fans took his "controlling that guest list" quip at face value, branding him outright a holy, others launched a more nuanced defense of the couple's relationship dynamic. One such person countered, kind of in a holy diss at Taylor, "She's not controlling anything. Trav has a mind of his own and she loves that he has great long-time loyal friends. They will do the list together for sure." This retort was less about attacking Santino and more about defending the integrity of Swift and Kelsey's partnership, asserting it was built on mutual respect rather than one-sided control. Therefore, when Santino was later spotted in deep, friendly conversation with Swift, it wasn't just a personal vindication for him, it served as a powerful, real-world resolution to the online debate. The image effectively validated the second group's perspective, visually proving that there was no lingering animosity, that Travis's longtime loyal friends were indeed welcomed, and that the couple's collaborative curation of their inner circle had, in fact, found a place for him after all. The whirlwind saga of Andrew Santino's potential wedding invitation was fueled as much by his own self-deprecating humor as by the fierce digital court of public opinion. After the comedian, a longtime friend of Travis Kelce, openly doubted he would make the cut and jokingly pinned the guest list curation on Taylor Swift, a segment of the Swiftie universe turned on him. While one fan bluntly branded him an unholy, others dissected the perceived disrespect, with a third adding, "If you're out there criticizing, the partner of your friend, you expect an invite? The F with that." This backlash framed Santino's comments as a fundamental breach of friendship etiquette, making his subsequent appearance not just a surprise, but a profound narrative correction. There he was, weeks later, photographed deep in cheerful conversation with Swift herself in the VIP suite, a living rebuttal to the online fury. This visual proof of their amicable interaction served as the ultimate closure, demonstrating that within the actual inner circle, his jokes had been taken in stride, and his place, whether at a game day or a future celebration, remained secure, despite the tempest in a digital teapot. While the online backlash swiftly branded Andrew Santino's comments as a diss against Taylor Swift, a more nuanced reading suggests it's unlikely he was intentionally trying to criticize the singer, but rather that he was politely and humorously attempting to distance himself from the overwhelming spectacle of his friend's private life. His statements, expressing doubt about an invite and a preference for the casual bachelor party over the formal wedding, less an attack on Swift and more a classic comedic retreat from the public frenzy, an attempt to grant his friend Trav space while acknowledging the unique gravity of a Swift-Kelce union. This interpretation frames his words not as malice, but as a protective gesture, making his eventual appearance next to a smiling Swift not a contradiction, but a resolution. The friendly VIP box interaction served as a silent, real-world assurance that no offense was taken behind the scenes, revealing that the entire public saga, from self-deprecating doubt to furious fan defense, was ultimately a tempest in a teapot, quelled by a single, quiet conversation between friends. The entire public speculation surrounding Andrew Santino's place in Travis Kelce's life overlooks a crucial, long-standing foundation. Santino and Kelce have been friendly for a number of years, with the NFL star appearing on the comedian's podcast, Whiskey Ginger, back in 2019. This documented history reframes Santino's later, much scrutinized comments not as the words of a distant acquaintance, but as the familiar, self-deprecating humor that often exists between old friends, a dynamic that outsiders, especially a fiercely protective fanbase, are not privy to. His jokes about the wedding guest list and his preference for the bachelor party were likely rooted in this very comfort and history, a playful acknowledgement of the surreal new scale of his friend's life. Therefore, the subsequent image of him chatting amiably with Taylor Swift was not a shocking reconciliation, but simply the public manifestation of a private, years-long friendship that had always existed, comfortably enduring even as one of its members became the center of the pop culture universe. The foundation for this entire episode was always the genuine, years-long friendship between Santino and Kelce, a bond documented by the NFL star's appearance on the comedian's Whiskey Ginger podcast back in 2019, a favor Santino repaid last year when he joined Kelce and his brother Jason on their massively popular New Heights podcast. This history of mutual support underscores that Santino's subsequent comments about the wedding were never from a place of malice or distant acquaintance, but from the comfortable, irreverent dynamic of a proven friendship. His jokes about guest lists and bachelor parties were made from inside the circle, not outside, which is why the perceived dig could be so easily laughed off and the reconciliation, culminating in his prime seating next to Swift, could feel so natural and unsurprising to those who understood their long-standing rapport. The whirlwind of speculation surrounding Andrew Santino's standing with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce ultimately overlooks the well-documented, multifaceted nature of his friendship with the NFL star, a bond that extends far beyond podcast appearances. Not only did Santino repay the favor of Kelce's 2019 Whiskey Ginger visit by guest hosting on the Kelce Brothers' New Heights podcast, but the pals have also hit the golf course together, solidifying their connection in the world of celebrity sports. This was notably showcased when they played alongside Justin Timberlake in the 44-year-old pop star's 8 a.m. Golf Invitational in Las Vegas earlier this year. This context reframes Santino's initial, self-deprecating wedding comments not as a slight from an outsider, but as the comfortable ribbing that occurs within a long-established and active friendship. The subsequent image of him smiling beside Swift in the VIP suite wasn't a shocking reconciliation, but simply the latest public chapter in a private, years-long bromance that comfortably exists on podcast sets, golf courses, and now, in the most scrutinized luxury box in sports. The recent fan-fueled drama surrounding Andrew Santino's place in Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's circle always overlooked a simple truth: his presence there is not new, but well established. While his self-deprecating podcast comments about the wedding guest list sparked a firestorm of online criticism, framing him as a disrespectful outsider, the reality has been visible all along. Santino has previously shared a number of snaps with Kelce and Swift at Chiefs games, solidifying his status as a recurring figure in their orbit. This history, combined with their years of friendship evidenced by mutual podcast appearances and even a golf outing with Justin Timberlake, completely reframes the narrative. The recent image of him chatting with Swift in the VIP suite wasn't a shocking reconciliation or a strategic power move, it was simply business as usual, another snapshot in an ongoing, well-documented friendship that comfortably predates the online controversy, proving that the real story was always one of enduring camaraderie, not a fleeting social feud.